and welcome to India Inc. 2.0. I'm Nayantara Rai. India Inc. 2.0 is back with the third season, and we're beginning the third season with the co-founders of Nicobar. Nicobar is a 2-year-old brand, immensely successful. It's been started by Simran Lal, who's from the Eicher family, and her husband Raul Rai, who gave up a career in banking to start Nicobar. Let's find out more. So I'm here at the beautiful Nicobar store with the co-founders of Nicobar, Simran Lal as well as Raul Rai, who are incidentally married as well. Thank you for inviting ET now here. Great store. It's my first question. You guys are married and work together. Isn't that a recipe for disaster?
Could be, but actually in our case, it's been actually one of the most amazing things. It's, I think, strengthened our marriage. It's, of course, we've had enough times that we've disagreed, but we have very clear roles, and we also are very much in sync with the way we want, in particular when we're talking about Nicobar, the way we want Nicobar to grow. So I think it's been an amazing, we support each other and bounce ideas off each other. So you couldn't ask for a better partner, I would say. But that's my version.
No, she's the best boss I've ever had. And I worked at Goldman,
so we know
McKinsey. Absolutely. So when she says there's clarity of roles, it's she says what to do and I do it.
So she's been a better boss than any of your bosses at Goldman Sachs and McKinsey?
100%. Yeah.
Saying it on camera.
Okay. So just a little bit about Nicobar. Tell us how it started. You had a banking career, which we'll talk about, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be envious of. They probably dream about that for their kids. Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, Fidelity. You come from such a large industrial family. How did Nicobar start?
Honestly, I feel like I've been one of the luckiest people in the world, because you're right. I grew up in India, I went abroad, I studied, I had some great jobs. And then I came back to India about 10 years ago after being away for 18 years. And I saw amazing design talent in India. And I said, India has so much to offer the world, yet we're not fully capitalizing on it. And it became an obsession on why can't we create a brand from India for the world.
Okay.
And secondly, I was very lucky to work in different cultures. And I found that I thrived in certain cultures and didn't do so well in certain cultures. So studying organizational design and culture became a passion. And when these two came together, creating a brand out of India and creating a really special place to work, that's how Nicobar really started. And we said Nicobar should be a brand that will inspire India to modernize without necessarily westernizing.
But Simran, if I could ask you this question, is you could have literally done anything in your life. You were born, let's be honest, with a silver spoon. You come from a family, very large industrial family. Your mom had the Good Earth brand. How has your journey been? Did you always know what you wanted to do, that it's along these lines?
No, I never knew what I wanted to do. First of all, I think that sometimes when you have so many options, it gets confusing. I started off by wanting to be an archaeologist, then I thought an anthropologist, then an Indologist, and so all kinds of things. And those are still my passions. I read about them, I study, they are deeply inspiring. And I think over the years, as a child and everything, through the aesthetic of my mom and my family, I think my eyes have been trained a lot, And I kind of joined Good Earth just to see how I would, how it would be. And it's been amazing since.
Was it easy for you to convince your mom that hand over the reins, now I'm going to do Good Earth?
No, it was never that. I mean, it was never either or. We don't like this either or thing. She's still very, very involved. She, in fact, is leading it currently. So really my role coming in was to learn, because I didn't know any of this. It's an intrinsic thing, and to support. And then that journey has been, then I headed retail, then I finally became CEO. So being a CEO was also very interesting and challenging and exciting, and then finally, of course, came good old
It's
Nicobar.
quite an amazing relationship. I'd say actually even Nicobar, her mom Anita Lal, has amazing ideas for Nicobar. But literally we were in angst on whether to open in a mall. And it was really Anita Lal who gave us the confidence and said, listen, take a risk, open it. And then we brainstormed and we said we'll do it in our own way, and we ended up collaborating with Cara. You know, in private equity, when I was at General Atlantic, we used to talk a lot about long-term business building. And I think India has something special also in the way families sometimes think very long-term on building businesses.
Yeah.
And it's always a challenge. You got to think long-term and you got to execute in the short term.
How long did you think about giving up banking to become an entrepreneur?
You know, honestly,
You
I
didn't
should
any
be.
risk-reward ratios. You didn't make a spreadsheet.
I was amazed
You know,
with this guy.
I
It's the
should be.
most,
I mean,
like,
I'm feeling embarrassed because I should be more structured than you think I am. And it just, I swear, all my decisions in life have been being open to the possibilities. I met Simran. I proposed to her within 48 hours.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. And
Was it
and
arranged
and I
or
had-
what?
and I can tell you,
Arranged
6
by
months.
the universe.
6 months before starting Nicobar, I had no idea that we'd start Nicobar.
When we were talking about Nicobar, we had this idea, something simple, aesthetic, whatever. He said, let's do it. It was
Market nothing.
gut instinct. And that's what's amazing, that Raul has kind of followed that, been open to possibilities when, you know, he's been trained in a totally different way and I've been trained in this very gut instinct way. But we went that way, and that's really...
Yeah. No, look, I'm great with numbers. But if there's
Just in
one
case
thing
you
I've
don't.
learned is the power that comes when you combine madness with measurement.
Okay.
When you combine kind of intuition with data. And I think that's what I've learned a lot in my journey. And I get excited by learning more than the outcome. And for me, Nicobar has given me that creative avenue. And I just think there's a lot more people out there who want to find this creative expression. And that's our real goal, is for Nicobar to be the most creative place you've ever worked at.
So you were convinced that basically there was a void in the market for something like this?
You know, I don't even know if there's a
Yeah, I
void.
don't
I
think
think
we
we're
saw it.
Oh, you're
creating markets.
creating it?
We're creating markets.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and for
Yeah,
us,
we
it
didn't
was
look at the
just
void.
we have a great advisor, Santosh Desai,
Oh, okay.
and Santosh told us very early on, you're an inner belief-led brand, and so there was this deep thing that we wanted to express. We want to reimagine India, and so we want everybody to wake up with a kulhar and have, you know, an espresso in the morning. We want people to shift from trousers to Shillong jammies. So I think it's just, you know, that sense that is driving us. Now, whether there's a business there or not, we'll have to see.
But you said you're obsessed with numbers. What are the numbers
good at
looking
numbers.
like
He's
right
not
now?
obsessed with
Okay, good with numbers. Thanks for correcting me.
Yeah.
So what are the numbers looking like?
I think we've had a great start. We thought we'd open with 2 stores a year for the first 4 or 5 years.
Well, you got 9 now.
But we got 9 in our
I
first
know.
2 years, plus online. We did 25 pop-ups to build word of mouth. Digital is already 20 to 25% of our revenue, and for a brand that is both online and offline, I think that's extremely high. And we have a very good chance of breaking even in this year, which is our 3rd year of operation. So I think a brand that is digitally native, breaking even in 3rd year, if we do it, would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That said, you know, we probably spent a little more than we expected to spend, but we got, again, great advice from a professor of mine when we went to Boston, and I want our viewers to know this, and it was out of chaos comes revenue, and out of discipline comes profit. And so when we built the
As
business,
discipline not to spend too much or too
but
much.
that's the
And
second phase.
streamline, right?
And what he
That's-
told
yeah.
us, he said, Raul, you're too type A, you're too organized, you're too structured. In the beginning, let a little bit of madness prevail so that you create a product that customers love.
So when are we going to see Raul the banker maybe look at an IPO or his private equity friends from his private equity universe? I'm sure you guys are being chased right now by VCs, by private equity. Look what Estee Lauder did with Forest Essentials. Louis Vuitton wants to stake in Patanjali. Are you guys being chased at all?
So my vision is not an IPO. It is
Okay.
to become the creative head.
Okay.
So I think that
But I'm sure
He's
you're the
taking
finance
over my
guy.
role very soon, and I become finance, and this is a recipe for disaster is all I can say. But anyways,
Look, I think in all seriousness, I liken the journey of Nicobar to bringing up a child, where we instill a certain set of values, but we're very open to all the possibilities. And I keep saying, you know, we have international aspiration. We find the right partner who can give us the confidence to take it international, we will. Because our product has international appeal. 20% of our online revenue is from international. 20 to 30% of our revenue in stores come from our international guests. And
So you're already
we-
shipping overseas, that means?
yeah, we ship to, I think, over 90 countries. We have shipped actually to 45 countries. and Singapore, the US, Hong Kong, Australia, the Middle East are some of the more prominent markets where we
So, coming back to the part about being chased by investors, is that something you're open to? Because I'm guessing funding is not an issue for you guys.
I mean, see, the thing is, yes, we are self-funded, and but there's always an opportunity to get outside funding, and I think it's not a bad thing. But as I mentioned earlier, is that we are very keen on building a very strong brand, that we don't take shortcuts for the sake of growth. The fact is that we feel we want to do it the way we would like to do it, and then maybe a few years later, when we've kind of got it the way we would like it, and then maybe we can look at it, then we can be open. But right now we want to be quite clear.
You know, just like our journey, I just think it is about life, you know, doing your own thing but being open to all possibilities.
Open to all possibilities, where you're also looking at overseas market. But tell me something, how conscious are you guys of the fact that this is a Make in India brand? And the reason I ask you about this is because, you know, Make in India is a buzzword. Good Earth has always been known about trying to revive crafts, for example. So how conscious are you guys of that at Nicobar?
Very. We are very happy and very proud that this is yet another Indian brand that hopefully the country, our guests, our customers will all be proud of, our partners who we partner with, because we are a very, let's say, India proud family. And Good Earth started with that and continues to. It's very much about heritage and bringing out, you know, and craftsmanship to a refined level. Nicobar, you know, showcases India in a modern Indian way. You know, it's a global in its appeal. It's a certain simple aesthetic that exists in India, but somehow that was not highlighted, or, you know, that was not brought about enough perhaps. And of course we've got we're also inspired by the journeys across the Indian Ocean, you know, and Indian Ocean being the only ocean in the world that has been named after a country, by the way, because everybody wanted to come to India. So there's a lot of history also that we are very inspired by, the whole journey, but that's in a slightly different way from the Good Earth way of, you know, bringing out the heritage of craftsmanship.
But Simran, tell me, was it very difficult to create a new brand which had to be different from Good Earth? How did you differentiate the two brands to protect Good Earth and also make sure that you don't create a challenge or a competitor for Good Earth?
Yeah. So I have to say that it was probably for me the most important and perhaps the biggest challenge in a way, right? Also the other stress was that we had to, in Nicobar, actually only make Good Earth proud as a brand. You have to keep that protected and safe at all times. So yeah, work hard.
The motifs are very different. Like when you go to Good Earth, maybe you'll see Mughals and you see the Taj Mahal, you see elephants. You don't really see that here.
Yeah, you see elephants here, but there's a tropical elephant. We
I
love
think tropical is the theme of this entire space. When I first walked in here, that is exactly what I thought. Modern India and some sense of tropical, whether it's with the trees or...
So it is a tropical Indian aesthetic that we want to actually define, which has been missed. You know, there is a tropical aesthetic that Southeast Asia has, Sri Lanka has, all of that, but India somehow, we've got the longest coastline, but that's not been celebrated or been actually honed. So we want to do that at Nicobar, you know, and it's a tropical state of mind, frankly, in an urban environment. So yeah.
You know, full credit to Simran and the design team, really, that within 2 years, I think one of the things I'm most proud of is that we have a unique design language. So if you see Nicobar clothes somewhere, there's a good chance you'll be able to recognize that's Nicobar. And I think even more is, even if there's something which is not Nicobar but looks Nicobar, people say that's very Nicobar.
So you've created a brand that's quite clear about it. So with that, we're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. On the other side, I'm going to go to the Nico Cafe and join my guests for a cup of coffee. Welcome back. You're watching India Inc. 2.0. I'm Lal Rai and I'm in conversation with the co-founders of Nicobar. In fact, now we're sitting at the first Nico Cafe. It's the first of its kind, a collaboration you alluded to that you've done with Kara. Is it paying off, the food business?
It's early days, but it's more, we don't see it as business as much as, let's say, it's the Nico Kara Cafe actually, and as passion, I think we both, as the Nicobar team and the Kara team, are deeply passionate about offering a product, an experience that is really special and differentiated and something that we can be proud of. So I think, yeah, in that sense, it's working well. I don't know, business we'll figure out later.
Yeah. I think, look, it's only been open 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I think we've captured a lovely energy over here. And I think it's interesting, but a lot of guests have already come back 3-4 times. You know, we are so excited about it. Sometimes we feel we should open only with a cafe, the way this has come out.
So, you know, you have, this is your 9th store. Is this also your biggest store? It's over 3,000 square feet. You said you took a risk by opening in a mall as well. So is this a model you could look at going forward? Because now suddenly if you're doing well in a mall, would you be looking at other malls as well in different cities?
Initially, we were not very open to, or perhaps we had thought that let's use up, or at least let's open in places which are not necessarily malls. But this opportunity came up and we thought that maybe this is the first time we should try it, and it's done really well so far. And yeah, it could be a model going forward. We'll have to see. We'll take it.
A couple of things came together. First is, I think we got all the right square footage, and our vision always was, can we create an oasis inside a mall? And so we were able to create a feeling of Nicobar versus just another big box retailer.
Yeah. Do you have a spreadsheet with your scale-up plans, your expansion plans?
Yeah, she keeps the spreadsheets. The reality is, when you're creating markets, there's only so much on assumptions that one can have. So I think where spreadsheets fall short is when imagination is required.
The madness in
the
madness that you need.
Absolutely. And so, look, it's a new mall. Who's going to be able to predict how much footfall is here? Then who's going to be able to predict how much footfall comes to the second floor? And so there are too many variables. So you have to go with your gut instinct sometimes. And I think that's where we're a reasonably good combination. She's got the gut, and I look at the numbers, but I'm developing more and more instinct.
So you will look to scale up, look to enter new cities. How do you decide which cities are ready for a Nicobar, or Nicobar is ready for a city? How do you decide that?
So far, it's been very partner-led and mission-led. And by that, what I mean is we had some great partners in Chennai and Hyderabad, and so we decided to go to Chennai and Hyderabad. Second, in mission and purpose-led, Jodhpur is going through a lovely regeneration. And 2 brothers there, Dhananjay and Nikhilendra, have a lovely project for the restoration and regeneration of Jodhpur. And they wanted the best of India brands. And so it's a very long-term bet that we took by opening in Jodhpur. So I think it's always a combination of the people, the passion, the purpose, and again, you know, with all our landlords, we have a great relationship. So it's when we find people, we tie up on values.
You don't have the perennial tenant problem in India. Rentals are very high. They do eat into margins. You know, even if you compare it globally, in India, the rentals are very high.
I mean, it's a huge problem. I think one of the reasons retail, or I would say if we can solve for that, good retail spaces, high streets, and things that are not so expensive that it's crippling for retailers, I think it would be a boom in this country. That is one of the things that holds us back, actually. You know.
Yeah, but I want to emphasize we are like a digitally native brand. So
yes,
we launched online on day one. And for us, offline has always been to create the experience, to build the trust. And so we wanted to get to some critical mass, which we thought was in the 10 range. Now it is really to just pause, perfect our offering, and then take the next leap.
You said about 20-25% of your revenues is coming from offline.
Online.
Online, sorry. Even though e-commerce is such a buzzword these days.
Look, I'm a big believer in the power of digital, but digital often gets mistaken with e-commerce. And in Nicobar's case, digital is also important to introduce people to the brand. So you most likely will discover us through Instagram and Facebook. Then you'll come to our website, and then you'll see we've got a store, so you might come offline. You come offline, you feel the fabrics, you see the detailing, you fall in love with the product, you know your sizing, your following purchases could all be online. So I think this distinction between online and offline is going to blur more and more. Almost 70% of all our online orders are fulfilled from the store. So it's all packed and shipped out of over here. And so I think...
Because that's also important in retail, the back end, the logistics, that's where the real story lies, right?
And I think, that's what we've done well. We keep saying Nicobar operates well at intersections. And so we're neither online nor offline, but we're truly omni.
Okay.
I think we combine creativity and business really well. I think we combine design and we have an amazing tech team. And I think design has to be equally important as technology. And I don't think you'll find many brands where we spend as much on technology as we do on design.
So as we come to an end to this interview, give me your final comments on where you see Nicobar, let's say 5 years from now.
I think it's a very good question, I would say. I think I was in fact making a note, I write a lot in my diary, is that maybe Raul has just done his 5-year plan, life plan for himself, and maybe we should be working on a Nicobar 5-year plan and see what we want to do with this brand going forward for the next 5 years. I mean, obviously, as Raul said, have to be open to possibilities, opportunities, all kinds of things. Honestly, I haven't given it that, we've been kind of working on it to get it off the ground, build a brand which has an emotional connect with our guests, have enough. It was really focused so far on brand building.
Which I must say your family is very good at. You've done Nicobar, Good Earth, look what your brother's doing with Royal Enfield. You guys are pretty good at that.
Yeah, I think I'm figuring that out. I mean, I think it comes maybe naturally. I don't think, I mean, of course, there's a lot of hard work that goes into doing it, but just the natural instinct of, there are always choices. So do you choose this or choose that? That's more a natural thing. Of course, it's also thought through.
Do you ride a bullet, by the way?
You know what? That's my thing this year, because actually I've been
You
wanting
don't
to.
ride
I
a
don't
bullet?
ride a bullet.
Do you?
Yeah, he does.
In Goa.
In Goa.
In Goa, we always ride a bullet.
In tropical
Your brother
environment.
hasn't
doesn't-
managed to convert you?
I'm going to. His whole team is. I've told them. I put it out there that I want to ride a bullet, and now they're all waiting for me to say, when do I start? But yes,
So
I'm
in
going
5
to ride
years,
one.
she'll be riding a bullet.
That's a 5-year vision.
That's the 5-year
That's
vision.
the 5-year.
No, but look, I think, again, like I was saying earlier, I think there are 3 or 4 dimensions that I hope play out. The first is that I hope Nicobar is a deeply collaborative brand, and I hope we work with an ecosystem to help define a tropical Indian design language. So I think that's a really important aspiration of ours. The second is we really want to shape culture. And so bring back a sense of India, bring back a little more mindful, thoughtful living, whether through food, whether through the materials that are used in product, whether through versatility of product. So shaping culture is number 2. Number 3 is collaborations that give back to the environment, like we've done with WWF, like we've done with Ellie Parade. And number 4, really close to my heart, is I just hope Nicobar is a really inspiring and creative place to work. And I think if people walk away saying this was a really nice place to work, then I think the output will come. So I think it just comes back from creating that environment that brings out the creative.
So it's very different from the cutthroat environment you're used to in your previous avatar?
Look, I don't know whether it was cutthroat, it was really hardworking. I would just think that it was a bit one-dimensional in many ways. And yes, there were many creative people, and look, private equity in India is still 10, 15 years old. It's a baby, and I think it's already matured and is
Struggling
evolving.
with exits, as we all know.
Yeah.
You took maybe the best exit?
I know. I think in hindsight he probably did.
I did. It's allowed her to express one part of her personality. She's both a Mughal princess and a Bohemian gypsy.
So Mughal princess would be Good Earth, and this is the Bohemian Gypsy.
Yeah, so
Have I
it's
got
brought
that
out.
right?
It's
Totally.
there
It
you
couldn't
go.
be the other way around.
Yeah, it could be a disaster.
Yeah, look, if we spend so much of our time at work, it better be an inspiring place to be. And I think that's what I don't think I've worked for the last 5 years.
Okay, with that note, I'm going to thank both of you for taking the time out, inviting us to Nicobar, and here's wishing you all the very best.
Thank you,
Thank
Nenta.
you.